Hello, fellow flamenco enthusiasts, and welcome to Everything Flamenco. I'm your host, La Jugo, and this is episode 32. Can you believe it? And we are in December, so I thought it would be very fitting to talk to you today about what on earth do I buy for someone, not necessarily for Christmas, but as a gift if they are a flamenco fanatic. So, as I said, it is December. The holidays are upon us. And for those of you that are celebrating Christmas, this will be a very good episode to play to your family, friends, partner, whoever that may be wants to give you a gift but have no idea what to buy you, and you are a real flamenco fanatic but you don't feel like perhaps explaining in detail what you really want. So if you are not celebrating Christmas, this is also a good episode for a birthday, or if you exchange gifts for any other denomination. So I'm going to give you some of my favorites and feel free to add on to them. So let's go. For any flamenco dancer with a salt, a first prize would probably be a trip to Spain for as long as humanly possible, where you can take all the flamenco classes at all the different schools and travel all over Andalusia and buy all the flamenco things and see all the flamenco shows. But obviously, for most people, that is not realistic. So, this list would be hopefully more affordable and more reachable for most. Obviously, trip to Spain is number one, but if that cannot happen, it will be shoes. All the flamenco shoes, different style shoes with different colors and from different makers. And I will still do an episode where I explain more about flamenco shoes and which stockists there are and where you can buy them, and also some of my personal favorites. It's very subjective. I think I've also read up on other people's opinions about certain brands and things. So I will still do an episode about that. So, because we have to have a proper pair of flamenco shoes to dance flamenco, obviously that would be a first prize. But on the other hand, flamenco shoes are very expensive, number one. And number two, it is very, very important that you buy shoes that fit you properly, which I will still explain in another episode. So, flamenco shoes, it's almost like giving someone a puppy that they didn't expect. It might change your life, but not necessarily for the better. So, if you have a pair of flamenco shoes as a gift or you receive as a gift, and they don't fit properly, you're going to feel terrible, and the person that bought them for you is going to feel terrible, and you're going to have to try and sell them to someone else, and you'll be really sad. So, if you really, really want that pair of flamenco shoes, rather have someone maybe give you money in a little envelope that says flamenco shoes only, and then put that towards your payment for your flamenco shoes that you can buy online or wherever. And oftentimes, the websites and things, they also give you instructions on how to measure your feet to make sure that you get the right size flamenco shoes. So, if I can give you advice, really don't perhaps have anyone buy you flamenco shoes unless you know which stockists to use or which makers to use, which make works for you, and which size works for you in that specific make. Because I've also found that different brands, um, the same size shoe for different brands does not fit the same. So don't let someone buy you shoes unless you know exactly the sizing exactly. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really, really important. Number two for me would be perhaps a voucher for flamenco classes, either at the school that you are with at the moment that you're dancing with. Maybe someone can pay for your classes for a month or a few weeks, or maybe book you in for a course, flamenco course, either in person or online, depending on what's available. Just to make sure that you obviously have time available because life is also busy. But I would really appreciate something like that, and also love learning from different teachers because it really helps you to develop your personal style. So, any kind of voucher for classes or lessons would be very handy, in my opinion. And then the third one for me, specifically for women, this one is a flamenco skirt. We do use the flamenco skirt quite often for movement. It's not always just the hands and the arms. So a nice flamenco skirt, it doesn't necessarily have to be from a flamenco brand. It just needs to be wide enough for you to pick it up properly. I find oftentimes that the skirts that are cut on the circular have the most width for you to lift them properly. So if someone can find a nice wide skirt for you to dance in, that's always very handy. Or if you want a bit of extra flamenco flair, maybe a skirt with a frill at the end. Just be mindful of not having one with too many frills because the more frills you have, the heavier the skirt gets. And if you are not flamenco fit yet, or especially if you are starting out, that might hinder your improvement as a flamenco dancer. So any flamenco skirt or a wide skirt, sometimes find even having a knee length one that you can also just lift but wide enough is also very helpful, especially in summertime here in South Africa where it can get very hot. And the fourth one on my list is, well, I've found an affinity for t-shirts with writing and logos and things on lately. So the fourth one on the list for me would be flamenco t-shirts, any type of flamenco t-shirt. So this is also something that you don't necessarily have to buy at a flamenco supplier, because I do find, especially if you have to order these things from overseas, that it can become very expensive because first you have to convert it to your local currency, and then there's also import tax and duties, so then it can become very expensive. So what is nice is maybe throw a few hints to your partner, your friends, or your family members if there's images that you like that can be downloaded off the internet, obviously with no copyright infringement, that can be put on a t-shirt, and then you can just go to a local place that prints t-shirts and have your own ones made. So I think that would be something fun, and then you can wear them out or you can wear them to class. Flamenco t-shirts I think is always fun. And then adding on to that, not necessarily a separate point, would be any other flamenco accessories. So a mini shawl that you can maybe wear out, or you can wear to shows, or you can even wear to class if you feel like having a bit of extra flair in class. The big shawls, the manton, they can be extremely expensive, the ones that you dance with. So maybe a mini one. Obviously, fans, especially in summertime here in South Africa, it can get very hot. So this week we also had a class, a flamenco class, and I had my students just dance a bit with fans that they can use to cool themselves as well because it was so hot. But yeah, flamenco fans actually break quite easily. The the ends, it's sometimes quite flimsy. So it's always nice to have a good stock of fans because your teacher might not necessarily always have ones that you can borrow, or the ones that they have come from Spain, and they can also be expensive. So it might be good to have on hand a few cheaper ones that you can use, and you can buy them at the China shops. Um, you sometimes get the wooden ones that are a bit heavier. Can also go into that into more detail, but a fan is always nice to have. Then perhaps a set of castanets if you're looking at learning how to play the castanets. Any type of flamenco style earrings. Again, it doesn't have to be from a flamenco stockist. You can find many types of flamenco style earrings, often the boho style or the gypsy style, they call it. Oh, I hate using the word gypsy. I know it's a bit of a derogative term. Gitano earrings. It would be nice to have something like that. And I also like, for example, dancing in fishnet stockings. So the way I was taught is we always perform in fishnet stockings. So as a rule, I actually like to practice with fishnet stockings as well. And the ones that I used to get were quite expensive, but they lasted forever. And some reason or another, the stockists, they don't provide or they don't stock them anymore. So I need to buy the cheaper ones. And as with fans, fishnet stockings can be very flimsy, so they do tear quite easily. So I would like to have some fishnet stockings, and they're also not as hot as the normal ones. Maybe some secret socks or some fishnet ankle socks, or even a light material leggings. So especially if you wear like a knee-length skirt, maybe over a pair of leggings. So it's also nice to practice in leggings if you don't want to use the skirt or you don't need to use the skirt for a class. So some light material leggings are always very handy to have. And then number 5 is flamenco movies. So if someone can find you flamenco movies that you can stream, oftentimes I find that most of the movies I like, they're not all on the streaming platforms. Maybe if you're lucky, you can find them on YouTube, or maybe that someone can buy you going old school DVDs of flamenco movies. So examples of those are most of the movies by Carlos Saura. There's the flamenco trilogy, Boda Sangre, Carmen and El Amor Brujo. Then there is the 1995 film Flamenco. Then there's also Sevillanas, and then Flamenco. And then there's another little documentary. I think you can find it on YouTube. It's called Flamenco at 5:15. And other movies are Los Tarantos with Carmen Amaya, the movie Vengo, Lachodrome, and the Romany Trail. And those are just a few. I'm sure there's lots more, but any of those movies I think would be very nice to have and to watch over and over, and you can really learn a lot from them. Number 6 on my list, which is maybe so low down on the list because I already have 2 of these, and that is a portable practice floor. So we've spoken about footwork at some point. I can't recall if I mentioned about hard flooring and hurting your ankles and things like that. So in our house, for example, we've got mostly tiles. So you don't want to practice on tiles with your flamenco shoes. You might hurt yourself because it's not sprung flooring. So having a nice portable practice floor, even one if it's very fancy that you can maybe fold up and put away safely where it's not going to take up a lot of space. And that is really handy to practice by yourself. So number 6 That's number 6, a portable practice floor. Number 7, in my view, is a pair of good earphones. That sounds a bit weird, but I have, for example, flamenco metronomes. There's free apps that you can download from the App Store. And if I practice and I just have my phone and I don't have earphones on, I oftentimes find it difficult to hear the compass over my feet. So to have a nice pair of earphones that you can use, that you can plug in so that you can really hear the compass while you practice, it's very handy. I think perhaps maybe first prize for that would be Bluetooth earphones, because it would be difficult to hold your phone in your hand while you are practicing. So a nice good pair of Bluetooth earphones. And then the next one is for you bookworms out there. I really love to read, and I'm a bit of a book hoarder as well. So many of these books I haven't even read yet, but I do have them. And I'm looking forward to reading them. So any books about flamenco, there's lots of flamenco books available, either non-fiction or fiction books. So if you're looking for some holiday reading that's maybe not so intense regarding the palos and the history and things, but it maybe has a nice storyline. Um, the one I liked a lot and that I couldn't put down was The Barefoot Queen by Ildefonso Falcones. Really, really great book. Then there's quite a few that I have and I would still like to read. So I can't really give an opinion yet on whether they are any good or not, but I'm sure some of you will be able to tell me. So there is Duende by Jason Webster, The Return by Victoria Hislop, and then if you want a book that is really helpful, this is now not holiday reading, but if you want a book that's really helpful, that explains a bit about the history of flamenco and the different palos and how they fit together, then I would really recommend The Flamenco Fanatic by Rosanna Maya. That is a South African book. So she's a South African flamenco dancer, and she wrote this book, which is really, I found, extremely helpful. And you can get it on Loot. This is not a sponsored podcast. I'm just telling you where I found it. And I also found that if you enter flamenco in the search bar on the Loot website, it also gives you lots of books about flamenco. It's just some of them are quite expensive, so just keep your budget in mind. You might find them cheaper somewhere else or secondhand. But yeah, Loot really stocks quite a lot of flamenco books. Then the next one is flamenco music. So flamenco CDs, if it's any paid services, obviously you can find a lot of flamenco music on streaming platforms for free, but maybe you want something that you can actually hold in your hands. So flamenco music, either CDs or maybe vinyls. If you have a vinyl player, it's really lovely. It gives a nice effect as well. And then for myself, obviously, because we do perform a lot, makeup that you can use for your performances, or maybe even a nice portable kit where you can store all your makeup if you're quite specific and you don't have something like that yet. A friend of mine gifted me a toolbox many years ago that was perfect for all my makeup and accessories. So any type of makeup things, in the school where I go, we use false eyelashes a lot for shows. So and I can see if you buy them at specific drugstores and things like that, it can become very expensive. So if you can find some nice eyelashes that's not too expensive, it's always nice to get a gift with some proper eyelash glue. So real proper eyelash glue can be very expensive. You can pay up to $700 for a little tube, but it will last forever and it won't make your eyes sore or itchy or dry. So any kind of makeup, even simple things like hair gel, hairspray, hair nets, hair clips, elastic bands, any type of thing. So maybe put together a flamenco survival kit for shows, so to speak. I find that would be something lovely to receive. And then, you know, something that might have to be a bit more effort from the side of the giver is any kind of old flamenco memorabilia that you can find probably in a second-hand store or sold on second-hand platforms like maybe Facebook Marketplace or wherever. So any kind of old flamenco photos or postcards or posters, old records, like I said, vinyl, maybe old shawls, mantones, any kind of accessories. Not everybody likes those tacky little knickknacks that you used to get in the olden days. For example, those embroidered flamenco dances, or the little figurines, or the dolls that can sometimes be very creepy. But if you are, and that's in my opinion, I just have to put the disclaimer on there. But if you like them, then if someone can find something like that for you, that might be very, very nice to receive as a gift. And then, as I said before, the ultimate gift obviously is a trip to Spain, but that isn't necessarily always an option. But, just maybe throw a few hints here and there, and who knows, you might get lucky. And that's a wrap, not a gift wrap, but a wrap for episode 32. Hope you enjoyed it and that you'll find something that you really like on that list, and maybe you can present it to your family, friends, partner, whoever, as a very strong hint on things that you would like for a special occasion, whether it be a religious holiday or your birthday, or just if you need to pick me up, or you don't need to pick me up, you're just happy, or you just, someone wants an idea on what to get you, and it's flamenco related. So hope you enjoyed it, and I will speak to you in the next episode. Happy December. Ole.